Hello, everybody. I am Sister Marshana Mayo from the Broad Street Church of Christ in Phoenix City, Alabama, coming to you with another inspirational Saturday as I encourage you and myself with the word from the Lord. So, today I'm going to talk about trusting what we cannot see. Now, earlier this week, I had an incident where my eyes became very sensitive to light. The onset was very mild at first, so my husband suggested that I get off of social media, put my phone down, close my laptop, and let my eyes rest. That was Monday night. So I prayed and I went to bed. Tuesday morning, I woke up. I thank God that I could still see, and I managed to work a few hours. And as most of you know, I work from home, so I'm in front of the computer screen most of the day. As the day progressed, my eyes began to feel more and more sensitive to light. So I called my eye doctor, and they were able to schedule me for an emergency walk in visit that same day. My husband left work early, and by the time he got home to drive me, it was worse to the point that I had to put a towel over my eyes to keep every speck of light out. And being that I could not see my own way, I had to rely on my husband to hold my hand and guide me. I was hesitant as he guided me to the car. He helped me get in. When we arrived at the doctor's office, I was hesitant as he guided me to the car, guided me from the car to the door, to the check-in desk, and to the chair in the waiting area. The whole while my husband was guiding me, he was reassuring me, telling me, "Keep walking. I got you. The way is clear. There's nothing in front of you. Trust me." Then he helped me get from the waiting area to the restroom, back to the waiting area, then to the triage room, and finally to the treatment room. The more we walked and the more he guided me, the more relaxed I became and the more confident I was, knowing that even though I could not see where I was going, I trusted my husband's guidance to get me where I needed to go. And as I sat praying and waiting for the doctor to call me to the back, I realized that this is another segment to add to the chapter of my testimonies. And as I focused more on how I could encourage others through this experience, I was less concerned about what I was going through during that moment. And by the time my visit was over and we were walking up to the checkout desk, I was walking faster and fully trusting my husband to lead me where I needed to go safely. My confidence and trust in my husband to guide me while we were leaving the office was much more stronger than when we left the house and when we arrived at the office. It was stronger based on what had previously taken place. My husband not only told me he had my back, he showed me he had my back. That takes me to my lesson point. God says in Proverbs 3, verses 5 through 6, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths." Sometimes we go through things, we lose focus of who's in charge, who's guiding us, and who makes all things possible. We lose sight of who because we are focused too much on the what's going on at the time. And sometimes we make wrong decisions based off of what we can see and what appears to make logical sense to us. But carnal understanding is always subject to error. What appears to be the right choice may be the wrong choice. But the Lord sees the big picture, and he always knows what's best for us. The Lord will not disappoint us if we trust him with all our heart. Our understanding may need time to catch up with his will, but in the end, we'll see how he is working things out for our good. Remember, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. That's found in Romans 11 and 1. Just because we don't understand how God will act does not mean he cannot or will not act. What we have seen of God's nature and character in the past should lead us to trust him, and trust naturally leads to obedience. The benefits of trusting in the Lord with our whole heart comes with the Lord's blessings and favor. If we want perfect direction in life, whether we are buying a house, looking for a spouse, or planning a trip, in all our ways we should acknowledge Him. He will not only guide us in the right way, but He will also remove any obstacles from our path. When we wake up in the morning, we should seek advice from the Lord as we plan our day, and seek His advice throughout the day as well. Following God's plan and His will is a good way to avoid added struggle. True godly faith is defined as trust, relying on God when looking to the future, and obeying when we don't fully understand all the details. Now let's look at some biblical examples of those who exercised their faith in God. First, we have Abel. Now he's one of the sons of Adam and Eve. By faith, Abel offered to God a more acceptable sacrifice than his brother Cain. Abel's sacrifice didn't cleanse him from sin. His faith in God is what saved him. Despite suffering a violent end to his earthly life, God worked everything for Abel's good in an eternal sense. Then we have Enoch, who walked by faith, and he was taken up so that he would not experience death. Enoch's faith motivated him to walk with God, meaning a walk of dedication and devotion. His walk lived up to his name, Enoch, which means dedicated. Then we have Noah, who was warned by God about future events. God's communication with Noah was very detailed. He was told about the upcoming flood, how to construct the ark, how the ark would serve to rescue mankind. All Noah had to do was obey, and he did. In reverent fear, he built an ark, and he was able to save himself and his household. Then we have Abraham. Abraham obeyed when he was called to go out to a place that he was to receive as an inheritance. He didn't know where he was going, but he trusted God to lead him. He went out not knowing where he was going. Though Abraham didn't know exactly what the future held, he chose to obey God. And then we have Sarah, Abraham's wife. She received power to conceive, even when she was past the age of conception. She still considered God faithful, who had promised her a child in her old age. Despite being barren for 90 years, she was able to conceive and birth a son, just as God had promised. By faith, Rahab, the prostitute, did not perish with those who were disobedient, because she had given a friendly welcome to the spies. Rahab's obedience to God demonstrates godly faith. She relied on what she knew of God and trusted God's control of the future, causing her to obey instead of living in fear of man. The examples of faith by these people, in spite of the struggles they faced, ought to inspire us to live a more confident, faith-filled life. Trusting what we cannot see leads to a closer relationship with God and makes it easier to overcome unforeseen challenges that we may face. As my sister Janine Anthony reminded us in our ladies' Bible study class on Wednesday, an intimate relationship with God is the best relationship we can have, because when everyone else fails, God is still there. He teaches us, He guides us, He leads us, and He reminds us that we're never alone. I'm Marshana Mayo from the Broad Street Church of Christ in Phoenix City, Alabama, and I thank you for tuning in to another Inspirational Saturday. Be blessed, be a blessing, and remember, God is able. Bye-bye, everybody.